Welcome to the Larken Tool Touch-Off video. In this video I'm going to show you how to add the Tool Touch-Off plate to the Larken router, or touchpad is there. So here it is here, and the touchpad connects to the probe input. And it has a recessed back, so it sits on the corner of your part if you want it to. And so it'll find the edge of your part as well as finding the Z height, setting the Z to 0. So on the side of your Z axis here, you should have a white plug, a 2-pin white plug, and that's the probe input, but it's also the touchpad input. Tool touch off, I keep saying touchpad. You connect the alligator clip to the router bit. Okay, be careful, never turn the router on with that connected. Alright, and there's a little circle on the touchpad to, another thing is put the wires securely, not so they have a bit of a flex in them, because when it moves around you don't want it to move this part. So if you put like a little bend in it, not like that. Okay, alright, got the alligator clip on there. Now, one way of testing the touchpad is if you touch it on to the end of the bit, you see the W appear here. You should see the W appear. That means it's making contact. If you don't see that, don't proceed and figure out why, or it won't stop. It'll run into the aluminum part, possibly break the bit. Alright, so we put the touchpad there on the corner of the part, and first of all just do set the Z height to 0. So go to Function menu, Tool Touchpad, goes down, and it touched the pad, and then it goes up, calculates the amount to go up. Now if I remove this, it says it's 840, but the 0 now has been set to the top of the work. So if we go Z to 0, it drops the cutter right down to the work. So it set that. It calculated the thickness of this from where it touched, and it added it and set it as Z. Okay. Also, it can do a corner find for finding the corner of your workpiece. Alright. So we jog it back towards the center, that circle, and go to Function, Corner Find. Now both of these commands have hotkeys as well. Control F is for find corner, Control T is touch off for the Z just alone. Okay, so we're going to go, and it finds the corners. It finds both sides, and then it brings it back and it sets the XY00 this time. It set all three actually. So if we move this and we bring the Z head down to Z to 0, you'll see that the cutter is centered on the corner of your wood. So it needs to know, in order to do that, there's a few settings. You enter the tool diameter in the setup menu. If we go to limit switch tab, tool diameter you can set here. Also in a future version I'll have it pop up and ask you for to enter the tool diameter if you want, if it's changed. This is also in this menu. You have enable touchpad enable. You have the seek velocity, so you can set that to a safe slow speed to come down and touch it. The touchpad thickness, this one I measured. You can measure with a vernier and enter the number in there. And then when you're done, hit Save Config here, and it saves these two. So that's under Setup, Configure Machine, under Limit Switch, and you can enter the diameter there. Another thing, when the touchpad only works on the latest version of firmware on the StarCam board. So to check the firmware, go to Setup, Diagnostic, and you'll see under the Diagnostic, Processor version 65. Okay, anything less than a 65 won't work the corner find. It might still work just the standard Z-Touch, but it won't work the corner find. So when you order a touchpad, I'll also you can order a new chip too, and it's a 40-pin chip that goes into the StarCam board. All right. So on the keyboard, I'm going to hit Control F instead of doing in the menu. There you go. Or I'll do the same thing. Control T, just to touch the Z off. Set the Z to 0. All right. Now, if you don't want to use it finding the corner, you just have to turn it over. Let's say you want to set it in the middle of a workpiece. You can just turn it over, and that way you can put it anywhere on your part you want. So here, now this is only good for setting your Z. So here I'll go. Always be ready with the e-stop button in case it doesn't make contact and keeps pushing. So here we're going to go just to reset the Z in the middle of the wood there. We'll go Function, Touch. Okay, so now just the Z has been set, and just to check it, just tell the Z to go to 0, and it should be at the top of the work. And there it is, sitting exactly on the top of the work. So your machine needs to have the little plug up here, the little probe plug. Also, some very early machines I built, I didn't use on the probe plug. I had it connected to the Y-axis limit instead of the W because I didn't have a W input at that time. So you can check that it's not activating the Y-axis input instead of the. If it does that, a wire is going to have to be changed in the harness, or there's other ways around it. Call me and I'll see what I can do. All right. So to contact me, email me at larken@storm.ca, and you can contact me about ordering a touchpad.